quite understand why people like to go out and watch hundreds of them. You know, a parade is a strange phenomenon, but it
is, though, it shows a community spirit.
Yeah, and it's a coming together.
It's better than everybody standing in their own house and hiding.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
I mean, that's the one good part of it, I think, you know, is that it shows that everybody does care for one another and does want to salute one another and have a civic event.
A priest friend of mine said it's a wonderful cure for loneliness.
Right, and that's the trouble with the United States right now. No people talk enough to one another. They don't do it. They don't do it enough. Yeah. People should help one another out as much as possible. You know, they'll feel better.
Doesn't cost anything. You go out and
you feel better.
Be in the middle of it.
You feel better. You know, in Britain, they're such an old society. They know enough if there's an old lady that lives next door to them. You know, they'll take 15 minutes out of their life before they go to work and get some milk or whatever the woman needs for breakfast or something, and they go down and get it and say, "Here, Mom," you know, and you know, it's a nice camaraderie between people.
Right.
So it's supposed to happen.
Yeah. Many of our cities. My wife and I do a lot of work in Los Angeles, so we maintain an apartment out there and back and forth. Los Angeles is an area that simply has never developed a sense of community at all.
That's why I like Minneapolis. They're very friendly. Everybody has a community spirit, and yet they're not gossipy. You know, they're kind of just nice to one another here.
Okay. I was in New York. I was just telling Cindy I was in New York a couple of weeks ago and saw. Okay. Went over and saw Mel Torme and George Shearing at the Jazz Festival at Avery Fisher Hall. Oh, how nice. It was a nice evening.
That's good.
They work very well together.
They do?
Yeah. Work very well together. Shearing is phenomenal, isn't it? With Tony Bennett in our own Twin Cities. Sounds like you enjoy this part of the world, huh?
Well, I do. One of the reasons I was a national chairman for the United Way for 10 years and to the People campaign. We always tried to gather people together. And the thing that I've always admired about this particular area is that there is a great natural camaraderie between people here. There's a niceness that is prevalent in the air. You can actually feel it. People are nice to one another here, and much more than other areas of the world.
Expressed particularly in Minneapolis in the summer at Aquatennial, in St. Paul in the winter at the St. Paul Winter Carnival, where we all get together from both cities and the surrounding areas and kind of, figuratively embrace one another, I guess.
I like that. I like when people do that because I consider it very civilized.
A parade, and we were discussing before our friends joined us here, parade is an interesting phenomenon, isn't it? It is. It's not easy to explain, but it does give everybody a feeling of camaraderie, a very up feeling.
Well, you know, just when you think people aren't thinking of one another, you realize that everybody's coming out and kind of, you know, participating, that they are listening, and that they are communicating, and it makes you realize that there is a community.
That they're sharing in a common spirit of sorts.
Absolutely. Exactly, yes.
You like to go out and get involved in a community if you have the opportunity. I know you had the opportunity yesterday not only to practice an art form that has been important to you for many years, but to enjoy our city a little bit at the same time. Huh?
Yeah, this is a great area. Scenic-wise, I love to landscape paint, and this is a beautiful area to paint in because of all those great lakes.
This thing you did yesterday at a very pretty part, a lake right inside our city, Lake of the Isles.
Right.
A watercolor, is that one of your favorite forms, or?
Well, no, I'm passionate about oil painting, but on the road it's not practical at all. And so I use portable equipment that you could wash your hands easily with watercolor, you know, and clean up real quick. And I use pen and ink and watercolor when I travel.
What does it do for you? Why would you take time out of a very busy schedule to go and paint a picture? What does it create for you that is important to your life?
Well, first of all, it's a form of meditation. You know, you could paint for 4 hours and it feels like 2 minutes. It's a great release. But also, it's the idea of just appreciating nature, appreciating people, beauty, the incongruity of nature. It's endless, and it makes you look at it 3 times instead of just saying, oh, that's a nice scene. Instead of just leaving it like that, you look at it carefully and you really study it and you realize that it becomes magnificent. Like all the reflections in the water in the lake yesterday, I noticed after I kept painting for a while. When I first looked at it, I said, gee, what a nice scene. All of a sudden, I kept looking in the lake, and there's all these millions and hundreds of wonderful blends of colors from the reflection of the trees and the bridge and everything. So that it makes you realize that we live among miracles.
Is the discipline that you have developed in painting and that which you have developed in music, are they parallel disciplines?
Well, I think they are. That's the same rudiments, you know, form, color, line, economy of line, balance, all these certain rules that make up something good in a creative act pertain to these rudiments, and they pertain to painting or cooking or singing or, you know, doing anything that's made by hand.
I watched you this morning with some of our competitor friends on a television program. You feel very comfortable with your fans. You enjoy that repartee, that relationship, don't you?
Well, yes. My mom she loved people, and I didn't really have to learn that. I just, you know, we're all victims of imitation, and I just feel the same way. I like people. I don't have any problem with them.
You have come out with another album. You've done many, many albums in your career, but not recently.
No, not for the last 10 years. I took a hiatus. But now I just came back and we made an album. My son and I, he produced the album, and it's called The Art of Excellence. And I'm thrilled about the reaction from the public and from the critics and everything. It's selling well, and it looks like we're going over again.
It's interesting. Was there a period of time when you said your son and you, I think 2 sons work with you now, don't they?
Yes, my 2 sons.
Was there a period of time when the kind of music that Dad was involved with wasn't the kind of music that the sons were involved with?
Well, only that was their opinion. I mean, you know, there was still Duke Ellington and Woody Herman and Stan Kenton and Tommy Dorsey and Frank Sinatra, Billie Holiday, people like that were still around, even though they didn't even know, they thought they were baseball players.
So often that is the case.
They've grown up now, and they realize there's a big world, and they're interested now. And this is what I'm finding out from all the young people in the world. They're starting to say, hey, let's find out about all these new things, and they're discovering all these records and movies and films and. So it's starting to come around again. And
the Linda Ronstadts and others of the world are not only doing it themselves, but bringing a lot of fans into a whole exploration of this other art form.
Absolutely.
It's a time of. Are we missing something? Okay, it's a time of a very a widening openness between types of music, isn't it? Classical, country, popular. Big band, all of them, everyone seems to be tasting a little bit of everyone else's discipline.
Well, that's the way it should be. I mean, that's what it's all about. That's why, you know, that great magazine, Variety, you know, there really is room for everybody. And now it's really good. Instead of the demographic boys saying, well, this is the only thing that's selling, they actually, I think they failed. Because they're just playing to one group. There's a whole family out there of people, all different ages. And I think if you communicate to everybody, you do 5 times the amount of business instead of one group.
You've worked with the same musicians a lot over the years. It must almost feel like traveling and working with family, doesn't it?
Right.
I mean, in addition to working with your 2 sons, which is working with family.
Right. Ralph Sharon has been with me on and off for 30 years now. And he's found all my songs for me through the years.
There's another man in town we spoke to just a couple of weeks ago by the name of Mitch Miller. Celebrated a birthday here, as a matter of fact. Nice. He was important to your career too, wasn't he? Well,
he started me out on Columbia Records, yes, right after Bob Hope discovered me. Then he heard about me, Bob Hope finding a new singer, and he auditioned me and liked it and put me on CBS.
As a matter of fact, Bob Hope was responsible for us knowing about Tony Bennett rather than Anthony
Benedetto.
Benedetto.
Right. Very good, Bill.
But was that a painful moment when that proud name had to kind of take a back seat for a while?
Well, it was for a lot of Italians. I liked it. It was kind of a show business name. It was successful when it happened. But now when I paint, I sign my name Benedetto, my family name. And when I perform, it's Tony Bennett.
Okay. I know you're working at the Carlton for a couple of days, and in the middle of all of that, you're going to be celebrity grand marshal of the parade. I understand that the advice they give everyone is to remember to wave from the shoulder.
Okay.
You can recognize Tony better. He'll be the one singing about San Francisco, waving from the shoulder and loving the Twin Cities.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, a couple cutaways here for you. Let me just
Yeah.
get it real fast enough.
Yeah, I'll take that.
Those of us who care for him wish that somehow the focus of all that talent could be brought to bear sometime, because he so often is kind of shuffled off as nothing but an opening act, and he never really gets to show how really specially talented he is.
Well, there'll be an opening for him. He's very talented.
He's a very good singer.
Yeah, he can do anything. He's very talented. Great entertainer.
We were at a birthday party for him one night, and Johnny Mathis was there, and he worked with Mathis, and to hear Mathis essentially singing a duet with himself is very, very strange.
Oh my gosh.
Because Freddie does such a perfect Mathis. How do you feel about Impressionists? Do you
I like it.
enjoy it? Do you?
Yeah, it's like someone
people
doing a
you.
caricature.
It is kind of an honor to have.
It is. Well,
people do, isn't it?
right away, if someone does an imitation of you realize that they're doing it because they know that the vast public knows you.
Right.
Right.
And that you have
right
some.
away, it's really a compliment, even though it's you're making that
Yeah.
making a brunt of a joke. I mean, it's a cartoon. It's like if I did a cartoon of you,
Mhm.
be the same kind of thing.
Right, and if you aren't totally distinguishable,
To say, well, I'll do. You could see an. Off the screen instead of on.
It's great.
This little hand.
oh, there's no question about that.
It's funny, actually.
Dustin, I did an interview with Dustin Hoffman a couple months ago, and he said he was born and raised in Southern California, but he said from the time I saw my first Bowery Boys movie, I knew I was going to be a New Yorker. He said I was a New Yorker inside somewhere.
Wow.
All that time. Yeah.
That's funny. He calls himself a dead end kid.
Yeah. Yeah, he lives up in that area. I think now in Connecticut or something.
Oh, that's nice.
Picture.
The picture moved.
That's okay though.
Did you get a surge in that video
When?
when that air conditioner or cooler or whatever it is went off?
No, I don't think so. Could have though. Let's finish up this tape on this shit.